have an echo. If we do, that sucks. I'm going to mute it in case we do. Get my sound on here. Get my Instagram fired up, and then we'll get going. Do a little clap once my Instagram snaps. And then we'll go. Hopefully you guys, I don't know if you guys hear an echo. Hopefully you don't, but we'll see. Higher education. Let me just get my little chunk chunk. Got my little sound. Welcome to Nightcap. My name's Nate, your host. This is put on by Smashing the Party. That's my parent little Papa Daddy company. We put on several different shows during the week. We actually had our first after-hours show this weekend, but I'm going to jump right into it. Tonight's conversation is going to be about higher education. Look, I am post-education. I have strong opinions on this. I took out student loans. But I wanted to talk about this because I'm probably going to be different than a lot of folks think on this. And I wanted to get into it because actually what I'm going to say is a Smashing the Party favorite listener, one of my listeners who happens to be Jason. He runs the Candy Factory along with his partner, Ann. They are basically running a social club over there where we have, private offices. Great spot. I post a lot about it. I'm not here to promote Candy Factory, although I do love the place. And that's where I do a lot of my filming and my creative work. But Jason happens to be a fan, and I asked him if I could put his name out there because, again, I don't know if people want to be associated with this angry black man rant that I have, but he was okay with it. Kudos to you, Jason, for sticking your neck out and being bold. I hope you don't lose any business for this. But every single time Jason and I encounter each other in the hallway or in passing, I joke because I say we should record this. Jason puts on a number of podcasts and does a whole bunch of things through the Candy Factory with folks that work there, as well as he has his own business that does marketing. So for me to have him watching and listening, honestly, it makes me a little nervous. I did ask him for some feedback. He's got the background. He's got all the equipment. So it's nice to have a fan like that. But I also wanted to give him a shout out because every single time we talk, it seems to go on to some, kind of tangent. And I'm like, as somebody who's creating content, I don't think any opportunity should go to waste. And so every single time I've joked about it, but I think from now on, I'm going to be serious. We immediately gauge into interesting conversations. And I will say, if you know me and you see me walking around here and you see me not talking to people, I would say that Jason's one of those folks that we don't really do small talk. We just jump into it. And usually I'm in some scatterbrain. He kind of brings me in. And we usually have really concise conversations. I'm not licking his boots. Look, you want to lower your rent, Jason, that'd be great. But I am not trying to get any kind of benefit out of it other than you are a generator of ideas. And so today's conversation stemmed from a conversation I walked in on Saturday. And I've had opinions on the whole post-secondary education funding, student loan forgiveness for a long time. But I walked into a conversation where there was discussion. And again, I kind of elbowed my way into the conversation. Sorry about that, folks. But we ended up talking about it. And I think there were some mixed opinions. I'm not going to state what Jason's perspective was, but I do believe that folks are going to have a different perspective depending on whether you have children, depending on whether you paid for the college, depending on whether you've already paid for your college, and depending on kind of whether or not you went to college. I mean, there's a lot of different perspectives on this, and each one of those perspectives kind of has its own unique financial incentive to keep that perspective. And what I mean by that is if you didn't go to college and you're doing fine or not fine, you're very less inclined to be okay with paying for somebody else's college. I get it. Okay, this whole thing of like rugged individualism, We know we don't do socialism over in America. We do crony capitalism. How dare you call it socialism? It's crony capitalism. You have to know somebody to get shit done around here. I don't know if that was my who was that? Was that my JFK? Who was that? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Not an impressionist, folks. Not an impressionist. But there's a lot of different ways that you're going to look at that, depending on where you're at. If you didn't go to college, you're probably inclined to say, fuck everyone else. You don't really care. If you did go to college and maybe you got a scholarship, then maybe you don't understand why people are bitching and complaining. Maybe mommy and daddy paid for it and you really don't understand what the big deal is. Maybe your parents did the right thing and saved up and put aside money, and now you have a college fund and everything's fine. I know friends that went to very expensive schools that had blue collar parents. Their parents did a good job funding them, and they came out of school with no debt. These are expensive schools they went to. So it depends, right? You say, well, they made all the right decisions and everything else and yada, yada, yada. And it goes into all these different arguments, depending on where you lie. I happen to be somebody who was offered, I hope I'm not going to get in trouble with the family when I say this, but there was an incentive in my family to go to a private university that was a Christian university. If you were inclined to go to a Christian university, there was an incentive. I believe you could get your education paid for. That was my understanding. Now, maybe I wasn't, my brothers and sisters are probably going to look at me because I was very aloof to many of the maybe benefits, I guess, or things that were available in that regard. But I do remember that there was some kind of thing put over me that said, hey, look, we're not paying for your shenanigans. You have to go to a Christian. Now, it could be that I was such a fucking little rascal that they're like, look, we don't know what to do. We're not going, you can't go anywhere but state institution or states or Christian school. I don't know. It could be they were like, look, you're the outlier. We have to have some special boundary. Because I did do a little bit more dancing between schools than my brothers and sisters. I went to several different schools, private, public, back and forth. I don't believe anyone else in my family did that. Maybe my sister did one year. But I think most everyone just went to private school and they stayed there. They were, I kind of bounced around. So look, the reason I'm giving you that little background is I was a little bit, let's just call it, there's a word for it now, neurodivergent, but maybe chaotic. I didn't like authority kind of thing, just a rough and tumble kind of person that just said fuck a lot and just didn't give a fuck about what anything or anyone thought. So I was probably a little tougher to raise out of the 13. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? I'll take that mantle, whatever. But I say that because I want to make sure that I'm not hedging, saying something that wasn't, put out for everybody. But I'm pretty sure that the rule was that, you got you got the greased wheels if you went to private school. And of course, I was, rambunctious and didn't want anything to do it. Although I was a missionary, we'll get into that. I was a missionary for about a year. True story. So I wasn't all bad. I ended up wanting to spread the love of Jesus across the world at one point in my life, believe it or not. As an atheist, that was a good year for me in my evangelism. Anyway, I'm not here to be sacrilegious. Getting back to the core point, and that is, it just depends on where you lie. I have a perspective of a little bit of anger because I, had to pay and pony up, and I believed that I needed to go to as a higher, I went to school a little bit later in life. So went to school at 26, which is an older college student. By the way, I totally recommend it. Not because of the creepiness, but it just is awesome. You're legal and you can go to college and you're young enough where you don't look too creepy. Maybe I did, who knows? But anyway, and then I dropped out and then I went back. So I have two kind of experiences, and the dropout was about 10-year difference. And it was at a private school in Philly. And it was an expensive school. So I went to Drexel. I started out at community college. I believed at the time that Drexel and the name and the fact that it was an engineering school was worth all the pennies. The other thing that I considered was I was considering the fact that I'm going to school for computer science. So I know I'm going to have some kind of job with the way things are. And then I also liked and appreciated the fact that Drexel had a co-op. This isn't a plug for Drexel, I promise you. But at the time, being an older student, I appreciated the fact that I could go to school, come out with 2 years experience inside the program with the co-op program. And so for me, there was a lot of considerations looking at the cost of Drexel, knowing that it was significantly higher than all the other schools. It's not a state school, it's a private school, and it's a pretty pricey D1 school. So, but it's known for its engineering, and at the time that was a big thing for me. I thought I needed that. And in retrospect, we'll talk maybe whether or not I needed that. But so there were reasons I looked at, okay, you have an opportunity to get free school. You're an asshole. You don't really want to go to a Christian's college at all. So you're going to deny that. And, there wasn't a big kerfluffle in the family. And then also I'm older. So I was like, all right, well, I need to get something. I want to get my piece of paper. I knew it was a piece of paper because I mostly am self-taught for pretty much everything I do. I hate to say it, if you taught me in school or whatever, I probably listened, but then I went home and learned it on my own. It's just how I learn. It doesn't make me smart. It's just, I prefer to go into a room and learn things myself. So I went to, so going to school was just getting a piece of paper saying I did this thing. I always believed on the job training. That's another issue we can talk about. But so for me personally, I calculated the amount that I was potentially going to make after college. And I looked at that and said, all right, look, I'm going to come out of college with a good name school with my 2.35 GPA. By the way, I could give a fuck. I was such a horrible student. When I cared about the subject, it was aces. When I didn't, it wouldn't matter what it was. If it was the subject of was NATE, it's the study of NATE, I could fail that class because I don't give a shit about the content. Truth be told. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that, I'm throwing out this thing like, oh, you're high and mighty Drexel. No, I wasn't I was a smart student that really just applied myself only on the things that I cared about. Everything else could fuck off. So that didn't do well for GPA. I'd get a 4.0 one quarter because everything was great. The next quarter, I'd get be on academics probation as an older student because I'm like, yeah, this is just jumping through hoops. And I was right. By the way, I'm friends with a lot of my professors, some of them, which I didn't do so well. And I think they all knew that I was a smart student. I just didn't care about the whole system. The whole grading system was weird. So I'm throwing all that out there to let you know, look, yeah, I went to Drexel, but I wasn't like some freaking prodigy kid that went there full ride. And I struggled to go with some of my grades because I just didn't give a fuck. If I gave a fuck, there was nobody could beat me in that. But if I didn't give a fuck, then I would look like, I would have challenges. So we'll get into that. But that was my mind. That was kind of how I went about it. And I kind of calculated all those things. Look, your age, your opportunity, your field. And so for me, it was like, all right, let's just take out the loans. I don't care. I'm doing it my own. I don't have anything to lose. And I'm looking at it. If I go 4 years, at the time I was going part-time. The first time I went full-time, the second time I went part-time. Then I went back full-time when I was like, fuck, this is going to take forever. Just boom, took out all the loans, racked up all the debt, walked out after a couple years at Drexel, just myself, like $120,000 in debt. I paid for the whole thing and ended up paying it off probably a couple years ago, ended up paying it off. But those were the reason I'm telling you. It's because I went there knowing the cost. So, and I also was an older student, and I also knew, all right, this is going to be my ticket, and I need to make sure that my compensation can pay for that. So, again, I racked up $120,000 worth of debt, whatever it was, paid it off. Again, good income. I was able to pay it off because of the field that I'm in and the consulting field that I ended up landing some really good jobs. So I'm paid off, and then this conversation starts to come around about loan forgiveness. I'm like, yeah, sure. People are like, well, what about yours? I just pay. I would love to have that money back, but I'm not. For me, it's such an easy thing to say, yeah, of course, I hated it. I paid mine off. I'm in good position now. So my situation has nothing to do with anything anymore. I won. I paid my debt off. So this idea that people are like, well, what about me? Fuck you. If you paid your shit off, you're fucking good. You win. You win. I mean, I don't understand how that, like, people are like, well, I did, what about me? Okay. So you paid yours off. That then, like, you get nothing. You win. You won. So this idea that you deserve something because you paid it off, I probably deserve more than you, honestly, because I probably paid more than you out of my own pocket. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that like I'm special. I'm just saying I paid mine off and I'm sitting here saying, yes, everyone else can have theirs paid off and I need nothing. Why? Is it because I'm nice? No, because I don't owe any money anymore. Do you understand? Like, I have no debt. It's gone. So now if somebody, let's say I paid my debt off yesterday, and then tomorrow they pass a law that says, hey, everyone wipes their debt out. I know you're going to be angry, but you're an idiot. You're actually not smart if you think you're like, why? You won. So now everybody else, like, why does it matter that everyone else gets theirs taken care of? This is a big reason against student loan forgiveness. Literally. It's fairness. It's fairness. What about me? What about me? And I get it. I get it. I get it. I am about me as well. I like myself. I like to take care of myself. I do self-care. I do some naughty things to make sure that I'm fucking living. You know what I mean? It's me. It's me. I love me. But I'm paid. I don't have any more debt. So for me to suggest that somebody else has to go through the same thing I have to is probably a core problem with like all of humanity. Like suggesting because you had it hard, everyone else needs to have it hard too. We walked up to school both ways in the snow. You don't know what it's like having a bus come by and pick you up. I don't know what it's like to walk up the hill both ways in the snow. Thank God you did it. Shut the fuck up now. We got buses, okay? I'm not doing the fucking walking up. What? So all of a sudden now you got buses and you're going to say to the kid, no, we did it, so go ahead and you have to do it. It's like a rite of passage. Fuck that. Fuck all that. Look, I'm paid. I'm good. So for me, the fairness thing is just a zip it. Stop. Stop. What's fair? Do you owe any money? No? Okay, cool. You have an education? Cool. Now, it's not that cut and dry. I know people are going to slice and dice that. That's not the fucking, ooh, Nate just slapped down the argument, crushed all the arguments that comes to student loan forgiveness. There's nothing that can defeat the fairness. I get it. It's not a winner. But the other one is that, well, I don't want to pay for other folks' stuff. I get that too. But let me tell you what you're paying for when you live in this country. You're paying for the slaughter of other white people. You're paying for the slaughter of other brown people. You're paying for indiscriminate spending and walk around money for your politicians. You're paying for a lot of shit that you don't want to pay for that's not fair. That's not even going towards a social cause. So the idea that you don't want to pay for somebody else's education, which is one of those things that lifts everyone up. If you think, by the way, you want to walk around a country with a bunch of people that have no education, you're a moron. You are a Neanderthal that needs to go back into the cave where you can club things and do shit like that. Maybe you go out and fucking rub sticks together, walk around with your balls swinging against your leg. Like, that's Neanderthal shit. Okay? It's not higher level thinking. I'm serious. And so there's a couple things that come to mind that are easy to shut down. I don't care about the fairness bullshit. If you are in a position where you have student loan and we're passing the bill, clean sweep. I don't care. Call me a dictator. Call me mean. This is what it is. Oh, you paid yourself off yesterday? Sorry, you don't qualify. You get nothing. You get nothing. Good job. You win. Here's a chip. Join with everyone else that no longer has student debt. That's number one. And the other thing is about the compensation of where your money goes. I mean, the tax benefits get past trillions and trillions of dollars. I did some research, little tiny research. Remember, I'm not a researcher. I do my fucking Google search. I put a couple of articles together. I throw it through ChatGPT. I read, I vet. Okay. So it's not some big fucking thing. I don't have a think tank behind me. But I look to see kind of what the benefit would be, you know, how much it would cost to pay for higher education. It's something like $950 billion, $1.5 trillion to kind of take care of to offset the cost of post-secondary education. How could we do that? Well, one of the things I put in there was like, what happens if we make America great again? We go back to the 1950s when it was so great. Well, if you want to go back to the 1950s or whatever the fuck golden years you're talking about, let's do everything, not just the oppression of the brown people, which I think seems to be a feature for some folks, but let's roll back the tax code. Watch the billions pour in. I know, $200,000 a little bit low for 90% capital gains tax. I get it. Or income tax, sorry. But think about that. Think about the fact that the largest kind of shift over these years, you have this boost in education, but we passed these tax cuts without even a thought. So one of the larger arguments I have for loan forgiveness, even if you are data-driven right in this case, I always talk about data. In this case, if you're saying, you know what, Nate, well, by forgiving student loans, it really doesn't lower the cost of post-secondary education. It does nothing for it. Okay, I still say do it. You know why? Because one of the largest shifts and one of the kind of the argument, the elephant in the room that exists around student loan is this idea that the cost of school is appropriate. First of all, we have universities with full-blown police departments, administrative costs out the roof. Of course, I get you need a new fancy building, but I mean, my university, which was already one of the higher premium universities as far as tuition costs, the campus looks completely different. And I graduated in 2012. So there's a lot of things that go into the cost that don't have anything to do with the fact that this is something that we know we have to fund. We have to have education. We have to do it. So if the cost is going to go up forever, one of the things I think needs to happen is we need to forgive it. We need to do what's called a shift in priorities. Right now, the priority has been, okay, tax cuts for the rich, easy peasy, no teasy, right? It's just easy. You just do it. But people just go, well, you know, it'll trickle down. That has been a shift in mentality that we've now lost. You know, look at worker wages and everything else. Look, I talk about systems all the time. But here's my number one reason why I'm just like, yes, forgiveness is because it would offer a shift in budget priorities. I understand people aren't going to think it's fair. I understand people aren't going to like paying for somebody else's shit. But we do that anyway with shit that we do in this country. So stop fucking, you know, virtue signaling that, oh my God, I don't want to pay for somebody else's student loan. You're paying for somebody else's bomb. You're paying for somebody else's healthcare. I know that's a fucking struggle for you too. You just got to think that when you're living in a civilized society, that you're going to have to pay for some other people's shit. That's part of the community. That's part of the fact that you're in civilization. You're not just some fucking random tribe in the Amazon. You depend on the interconnected web of services that we call civilization. So to think that you're just roughing it on your own is a bunch of shit. We'll take that argument down anytime. Come on the show. Tell me how you just did it all on your own, and I'll tell you you're full of shit. So there's a social contract that I firmly believe in that we need to abide by, and that is, in my naive view, education is one of those things that links up with the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that we're talking about defending. And so in my mind, it's just hard for me to see any mechanism that this isn't a shared responsibility. And it's very easy to see why that should be shared across the population. In fact, across the world, education should be a primary thing. That's how we improve, folks. That's how you get your fucking internet. That's how you get. Now you could say, well, these people. Okay, I'm not just talking about education in the way of getting a degree, even. But if we have some other system, I'm saying let's make education free. Let's put college. I mean, I would love to see entire curriculums online completely. You could technically get your PhD in this thing online from MIT because they get state funding, they're required to publish every single course they have. How about that? Now there's people that are like me that don't need a fucking goddamn all the bullshit of school and all that pressure, can pick up a curriculum and just go with it. It's the full thing. I want to become a doctor. Boom, it's there. I understand it's not going to work that way. Got to get residency, all that stuff. But my point is that I'm of the opinion that it should be the script should be completely flipped. There's script flipped. There should be no gatekeeping on education. And I am of the opinion that these universities should do a better job of putting out free stuff. I mean, I know there's a ton of free courses on there. I'm not saying there isn't, but I would like to see kind of that be the default, is that because you are in the United States education system, you are required by law to put your entire curriculum for every course online, so that we basically remove that big gatekeep. So yeah, I'm talking books too. I mean, the book thing is a whole crazy way that they extract money as well, but we'll get into it. Hold on one sec. All right. So let me kind of get back to topic here, by the way. So the real main argument for me is folks get frustrated with the idea that we're going to forgive student loans. And there's always the big thing that conservatives talk about, which is personal responsibility. And this one I feel like is an easy one to attack. People say, well, you signed up for the loan, you should pay for it. I agree normally. However, one of the problems with that is that when you have a system where the entire system is shisty and the entire system is built on top of extracting money, that no matter where you fall or how financially smart you are, you become you don't have any choice but to get inside the system and play along, even if it's a shisty system. So to suggest that it's the responsibility of the people that are getting the loans, and that's the only thing, also suggests that people aren't predatory, and there aren't predatory loans that we know. We know for a fact that those loans, I mean, here you got a 17, 18-year-old child who has no credit, no job, and we're willing to give him $50, $75, $100,000 without any liability. And that's problematic. And that is definitely that person signing up for it. But that's the way it works in the US. That's the way we've created the system. We've created that. If we think it's problematic, when you have a mass system that caters to this many people and you think it's problematic, you have to kind of create you have to create policy to remove that problematic area. Otherwise, you have a large enough population, they're going to run in the fringes. So that's why public policy is hard. You always have to say, okay, this is the way it should be. What are my edge cases? What is this? What is that? And you have to kind of look at it and see those outliers. And those outliers, you want to make sure you minimize those, but you're trying to draft policy for the majority of the folks in the middle, for the people that are going to benefit from it. And so in this regard, it's very easy for me to see that there's going to be folks that are going to hate no matter what you do. But if you look at what we're doing as a whole, education should be fucking free. It should be cheap. Okay, we need to run things. We need to do things. We need to have administration. We need to pay professors, which I'm all board with. However, what I'm not on board with is fucking goddamn these universities paying these college coaches millions of dollars. Well, they bring in advertising dollars for what? For what? For what? For when do the advertisers get whittled down into not the football curriculum, but the professors and the education system? Because I don't know about you, but I'm not inclined to just throw my money into CTE fucking schools. What do I mean by CTE? Football causes CTE. If your kid plays football or you enjoy football, there's a 99% chance that when they get older, they're going to have brain damage. Don't ask me. Ask the fucking stats. It's crazy. Like the NFL does crazy shit to hide all the brain injuries that their folks have. I mean, go look at John Elway. What's the Jim Madden or John Madden or whatever? Not Jim Madden. Who's the fucking guy from Chicago? Look, I'm not a football person. I don't have my Chicago hat on, but who was the guy that did the football shuffle? Not John Madden. Who's the fucking guy? See, I don't even John Elway. And who was the fucking guy that quarterback? Jim McMahon? Is that it? See, I don't know shit. All I know is there's two folks that were like famous quarterbacks that are struggling with their words and can barely talk. And it's more common than you know about. And so, what I joke, but in my mind, we're creating these universities and we're creating these kids with these brain injuries. And we're like, oh, good. We have millions of dollars. And look, I'm a Deion Sanders fan. I love what he's trying to do for young black men, all that. But I mean, it's just there's a lot of money that goes into this football shit where it doesn't do anything for like there's nothing in football that's going to say, wow, this year, because we spent X amount of money on football, the human race is further along. That's not going to happen now. That could happen with education. See why I think it's stupid to spend money on sports like that? There's no benefit for anyone else other than you can sit on your ass and watch this, get emotionally involved with some thing that you have no control over. It seems weird to me. It seems really bizarre. All right, but anyway, let's bring it back. So the conversation started, with this idea about, what's proper. Is it fair to do student loan forgiveness? To me, it's such an easy thing to say yes to, because it also will require us to shift our priorities. Right now, we're so inclined to just say yes to other things without thinking about it. So I'm inclined to say yes without thought to something that's going to basically paint a whole broad, it's going to basically remove a whole bunch of debt for a whole demographic. Now, I know that you can argue that there are folks that don't deserve it. They're going to get it. I get that. That's always the argument against them. Well, what about the people that are going to take advantage? I know. I'm not going to let that stop me. I know when I look at, what these kids are supposed to pay, they come out of school and they got a sociology degree and they're paying $2,900 a month. And there's the school loans. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like $2,900 or what, $1,900 for student loans, and they got a sociology degree. Now we can talk. I'll backtrack a little bit. We can talk about, one of the things I said about when I made my decision. Not that I'm a complete fuck up. Okay, I'm not suggesting you do it the way I don't listen to me. If you want to know my life story, there's fucking full of ups and downs and shit storms. And dude, why the fuck did you do that? But I'll say that I did do. Knowing that I was going to have that debt, I looked at it and said, what am I going to school for? Can I pay for my debt? So that one is a big one that I do lean on, that says, look, if you're going to go to a D1 school or something that's going to cost you $50,000 to $75,000 a year now, what we're talking, Christ, $100,000 in some cases, you can't go and think the math's going to work when you pay $400,000, $100,000 a year, $400,000. You're going to some really expensive school and you come out with a degree in sociology. Unfortunately, our society doesn't value that. So Nate, what? We're not supposed to be sociologists? Yes. You want to be a social worker? I'm all for it. You want to get a master's degree? That's fine. But do the economics. You can't go, you have to go to a state school. You have to do what I did, even though I had all that debt. I went the first couple of years, I went to community college because no one was going to accept my ass at that point. I had to literally get a 4.0 for 2 years at the community college to get into anywhere, and everyone was happy then. But again, that was one of the economic smart things that I did, was I decided to go and just get my piece of paper that allows me to transfer anywhere. And I strongly recommend that to anybody. I'm surprised that's just not the default. Like, why pay all that money? Go to community college. You'll transfer anywhere. They'll do all the same shit. You don't have to do all the crazy application dance that everyone does. Weird ass shit. I never understood. Like, oh, I'm going to apply and hope, cross my fingers. Yeah, I just got denied everywhere. And I was like, oh, I guess I remember like applying for colleges. I'm like, this is so weird. I knew I was going to get rejected from anywhere I went anyway. But I remember applying and thinking, God, and I didn't even give a fuck. And I just remember getting the denials back and thinking, oh, of course I got denied. But I just remember thinking, like, I hated this idea that I'm like gonna go in this system that, let's say I had good grades. I promise you I would have felt the same way. I'd have been like, fucking, this is weird. What is this, a lottery? Who do I have to know? Who do I have to know to get this done? So go to a community college. Go there for 2 years. Fucking fuck off in high school. Go to a community college. Do really well and watch. You go anywhere. You can go anywhere. I'm not shitting you. You get a 4.0 2 years at a fucking community college, you transfer anywhere. Any fucking where. It's not a loophole. It's like a weird thing. Like, why would you can't get into Harvard? Okay, I kid you not. Go to a community college, bust your ass, and watch what happens. Well, Nate, you're talking about you because you're black. No, bro, I'm serious. So if you're going to go to school for something and you're not going to have the income post graduation, this is one of those things where it's a smart thing to do, to say, all right, look, I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm going to go to community college, not going to waste my parents' money, not going to waste my money. figure out what the fuck I'm going to do, because that piece of paper, the larger argument is all the things that you learn in college are things you're going to have to learn on the job anyway. And that was one of the things that came out of our conversation, by the way. It's like, through all the jumping hoops and going through the piece of paper and whether or not you need a college degree, the truth is when you get to the job, you don't fucking need it anyway. My job, you would think is very specialized. I look at the fucking job descriptions, I laugh. You are basically given the job description for the person that left your job, the one you're replacing. They learn this specialized set of skills at your company. It's different everywhere. Yes, I know how to program. Yes, I know how to do the algorithms. Yes, I know how to do the optimize and blah, 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 and debug and blah, blah. But other than that, I'm going to learn brand new shit. So all you recruiters out there totally acting like, oh, your qualifications don't matter. When I talk to a recruiter that says that, when I used to talk to recruiters, by the way, don't fucking call me if you're a recruiter. I refuse. It's a good business if you're a recruiter and you hate what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I put you in there with realtors. You're fucking unnecessary. Sorry. But I hope you make a great live. It's just it's really unnecessary. Like, I don't need you to fucking find me a job. I don't. I'm sorry. I know you guys are like, well, you don't have a job right now. I don't want one. I don't want to work for someone. I'm working for clients. That's it. But the idea that this person, don't get me started. Got me started. See, we're on a fucking tangent. We said we'd talk about student loans, and now you got me talking about recruiting. So my larger point was that there are financial decisions and kind of optimizations that you got to make depending on what your career is. Okay. So it doesn't make sense to go to some school to spend $400,000 to know you're never going to make that in 10, 20 years. So you're not going to be able to live. So as much as it's frustrating, we really don't prioritize our funding for any of that shit. Like, we don't, if you want to be a social worker, you're not going to make bank. Get a PhD. You're still not going to make. Hopefully you wrote a book. Those are problems I agree with. I think teachers should be funded well. I think teachers should have loan forgiveness. I believe loan forgiveness should be something that's like automatic as a corporate benefit. Let's bring back corporate benefits. Motherfuckers, come on. What the fuck? You don't go and die for a company anymore. It's bullshit. We'll throw it back. How about I want to work for you and you forgive my student loans? Okay, bring that shit back. Do something. But I don't have a problem with kind of any president, Trump, whatever, whoever the next president is, hopefully Joe Biden. I don't have a problem with them wiping debt clean for any student loans. I don't. It's going to be a large benefit for the middle class. I understand what it's like trying to get out of college, trying to find a job, and you got this $2,000 month payment that you're just deferring interest for eventually. Fucking wipe it clean. Okay, so what's going to happen? Tell me how it's going to affect my tax benefit. Okay, done. I'm down. I don't even need to hear it. Just fucking do it. Stop acting like we can't do it. It's all made up anyway. You know what I mean? Like, remember NFTs? NFTs were this digital thing where you could buy like essentially a digital kind of representation of something, and then you had, for lack of a better term, a code that said this thing was yours. So I could literally, you own this thing, but I could take a picture of it. This became a $1 billion industry real quick. Give me a second here. So the reason I bring that up is because NFTs are interesting in that, it's doesn't exist. There's no tangible thing. There's no benefit other than like if some planet, let's say there was a planet raider that came in, they raid planets for a living. They would not come down and be like, oh, you guys have billions of NFTs. That's some resource we can take with us. You know what I mean? There's nothing. It doesn't exist. But there was billions and billions of dollars traded on this. And then people say, oh, we can't afford things. Look, markets are made on value and what we find important. For a while, motherfuckers were looking at fucking GIFs and JPEGs and saying, wow, that's worth $1 billion. Justin Bieber bought one for what, $4 million? The one that was the thing of the monkey, and now it's worth $2,000. It was $1 billion industry that popped out of nowhere based on nothing. So when people say we can't afford it, bullshit. You just haven't prioritized, which leads to me my number one point of why I'm totally pro student loan forgiveness is because it represents a shift in our budget priorities, which is the number one thing we need to change. So I'm like, oh, we're going to forgive loan up. There's conditions. I don't care what the conditions are. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Forgive the student loans. I don't care what it is. Do it. Because that means we're thinking now about a different perspective and we're not just whitewashing tax cuts. I'm okay to whitewash things that are going to affect the middle class. It's just easy for me to say that. It's not even a question. Like people get all, and I wonder the folks that are holding on to this saying, personal responsibility. What about all the other shit? Well, no. You allow it. You vote for it. You vote for rich tax cuts all the time without even a fucking thought. But now you want to get up on a high horse because we're talking about forgiving student loans. Do it. Stop fucking acting like you're simping for rich people. Start simping for your neighbors. Start simping for your people that you know, instead of just like saying, well, I want my neighbor to pay their loan because they took it out. Fuck it. I want my neighbor to have fucking free money. I want all my neighbors to have free money. I don't give a fuck if my neighbor gets some fucking shit because I paid a little extra because I can afford it. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Like Joe Biden says all student loans are forgiven. Man, Nate, you lost $120,000. I didn't lose anything. I paid it. It's over. I won. I have no student debt. I do dances and shit. I brag about it. I got new student fucking loans, motherfuckers. That's what I got. I won, and I love it. It's a great winning prize. So now you're telling me that you're going to give this prize to other people? Fucking awesome. I hope they love it as much as I do. How hard is that, folks? It's not. It doesn't make me some altruistic motherfucker. I'm probably a motherfucker. I'm probably too selfish to some people. So it's not me being nice. It's just very easy for me to say, like, it doesn't affect me. Okay, I might have to pay a little more. Woohoo! I love life a lot more than not having student loans debt. So why not give this benefit to you and you and you? I'm open to it. Give it all away. Make it free for everyone. You know that asshole that drives the IROC that lives in our fucking neighborhood that beat me up as a kid? Give him free fucking college. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. His kids, the fucking ones that use the N-word around, make them wipe their student debt. I don't care. Like, I don't give a shit. I mean, hopefully, the guy that drove the IROC got into. Look, I know I threw a lot of stereotypes there, but my point is, like, that person that maybe you would think that I would want to see their demise. I don't care if they get free fucking school. I don't care. It doesn't do anything bad for me. It's just good for me. And as someone who has no children, I'm appalled at all you motherfuckers acting stupid about college. Like, I get that college isn't necessary. It doesn't, by the way, college isn't the thing that you need to have to survive in this world. It's a whole nother conversation, but I just want to focus on the student loan today. But the idea that you guys will send your kids off to these schools, and then you send them these schools and you watch them create their own police forces, and then you're watching on the news your kids get beat up by these police forces that are privatized by these schools. And then you also get pissed off about student loan forgiveness. I mean, I don't have any kids, so I watch the cops beating up your kids. I'm like, man, that sucks for your kids. I don't even like the cops on there. I don't know why, F&M has their own police force other than to wink, wink, nod, nod, keep things under the wraps. I mean, what the fuck does a university need their own police force for? Sounds a little bit militarized. And then you guys are sending. So we could talk about why school pricing is high and why administrators now are like CEOs. But I'm not going to get all in a kerfluffle about some loan forgiveness that really doesn't affect me that much. Oh, you're going to pay for it in tax. I get it. I get that. I'm paying for the lack of education in so many other fucking ways that I'm okay to pay a little bit, or Johnny down the street who can't afford it and took too many loans, and now we want to forgive it, and he's going to have more money in his pocket to spend in the local community? Of course. Win-win, you fools, win-win. Who cares? It's so easy for us to say, well, personal responsibility, but then we just allow the rich to just fucking shit all over us and never holding them accountable. So I'm yes all day long on loan forgiveness. Easy. I don't need to hear any conditions of what. Just do it. Wipe it out. Make it all go away. Cool. Oh, what's the impact? Guess what I'm going to do next? We're going to go back, baby. Make America great. Let's roll back to the 1950s and make it $400,000 as the income cap. It's easy to get the money back. It's easy. We just got to shift our budget priorities and stop acting like things that should go to the benefits that we should inherit as part of this great country go to the top all the time. They don't pay for shit. Come on, guys. What's my time look like? All right, it's 11:15. I'm going to wrap. I'm going to summarize, though. So I happen to be all about forgive the shit out of student loans. Lay it on me, whatever, wipe it clean. I don't care. I don't think you're irresponsible. I get it. I think that you're shucked into a system that sucks and you don't have a lot of choices. And oftentimes, you're looking ambitiously to get into that thing. So these folks are preying on these folks because you don't have a lot of choices. So I'm saying wipe it out. Make it illegal to take interest on this shit. Make it illegal. We could create a whole system where rich people buy bonds and shit like that and fund public education. It's totally possible. When anybody says we can't afford it, I'm like, do you realize money's made up, right? We print it. Like it's made up. It's all made up. I know you think, well, Nate, it's more. No, it's really that simple. Like it's made up. When you look at the core root of it, we're like, all right, we're just going to say this is worth this. Let's hope everyone agrees. And that's the dance we're doing, trying to make sure everyone agrees the value of our money is something, right? Didn't go to school for economics, but I'm telling you right now, I have no problem with student loan forgiveness. I also, what I will put it back, one last point, what I'll put it back on the person is there is financial responsibility required, obviously. There should be some weighting on how you're going to pay for that back. There should be some consideration, but I'm also of the opinion that, you know what? It's so bad right now. I'm okay with just having a 10-year, like, fuck it. Everyone goes to school for free until fucking universities want to get their shit together. I don't know. I'm not saying this is the solution, but if you're going to get me on that argument, I'm just going to be real quick to rubber stamp the loan forgiveness just because of the shift that it requires us to make. And of course, it's going to pull money. It's going to require money, but I'm saying, look, these people are important to me. These folks that have everything that are requiring resources at, astronomical amounts that are never going to be spent. I don't really have any concern for them. Let's bring the tax bracket back to where the 1950s. Let's take that money, invest in social programs. One of the largest issues with public education is the fact that we've done a lot of reduction in public funding for education. So because of the shift in priorities, less money goes towards state schools, less money goes towards our universities, meaning the costs then are driven up, competition for amenities, everything else drives up. There's a whole reason why secondary education in the United States is a total shit show. But I'm still saying that when it comes to student loan forgiveness, in my world, it's an easy, all right, yeah, we're going to have to pay for it. There's going to be some pain, but it's an easy, yes, this needs to happen. Yes, remove that debt load off these people. Allow them to buy houses. I mean, shit, people can barely buy houses now coming out of college. I'm okay to forgive their student loans. And where's that money come from? It shouldn't come from me. There is plenty of money at the top. Let's start fucking looking there. So yes to the decision of free schools, free money for middle-class folks, and let's dig into where it needs to come from, and you're going to probably have to look up. That's my conclusion. On that note, I did my first interview this weekend, and it was awesome. These folks took a chance with me. Just, I follow them on social media. Suji, I say her name wrong every time. Suji Cruz, Chris Rupert, and Greg Papa came on my show. They are running a premiere in this weekend. They are filmmakers. It was great. It was a great interview. It was not political at all. We just talked kind of about the movie. It was fun. It was my first time doing it. Tried to make it seem somewhat professional. We ended up streaming out. We got pretty large reach on it. And I'll say that if you're an artist or somebody that watches the show, I would, you'll get free marketing if you come on that show. So I've asked some people to come on. People kind of see what it's about. It was great. I had a great time. It was a good time. Make sure you check that out. All I'm going to do, it's going to run every Saturday evening. I'm going to have local people on it. I'm going to have things that are interesting. Sometimes it might be me talking about technology with somebody else. Sometimes it might be me cracking jokes with somebody else, but it's not going to be political. I'm having that show because a lot of folks that enjoy or maybe want to see me fail, or maybe they enjoy watching me, they don't like the politics. So I want to open that up because I think it's also a place where we can kind of start to promote the folks that we enjoy, the things that we like, and that have no slant. It's a place where people can go and talk about themselves other than Nate. And I've approached the several people to come on it to say, look, you can talk about yourself. This is you. And then I'll boost it and I'll market it. And it's, what do I get out of it? I get the hits. I get the clicks. I get the likes. No, I'm not paying you. Somebody actually asked me if I'd pay them to come on. No, I'm not fucking paying you to come on my show. Christ, I can't pay myself. This is all free. I'm doing this on my own. So, but I think the big thing is it's fun and it's a place where I can kind of get engaged with the community as well as talk about things that are interesting to me and give folks a trampoline, because if you don't know, we've got, I think it's up to about 10,000 reach on our live this weekend. So, I mean, they're doing a movie premiere. They've got their own engine going on. So I'm probably hijacking a lot of their flow. But that's a huge amount of folks that got eyeballs or heard about this event. And I just started that social media account. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I was surprised at the amount of folks that engaged with that show. It was a huge success in my mind. Of course, it's riff-raffy like I am, and the tech needs to be cleaned up. And certainly I could do a better job in presenting. And I'm not Oprah. I don't have Oprah's golden touch with the interview. But I was extremely happy. It was a milestone for me. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to do it again. I'm getting into cadence here, and it's fun. This, by the way, if you're watching thinking this is like somehow there is no money in this, I got a couple links from some folks that sent me some things about how like these huge sport networks are unable to monetize with these large followings. And you know, it's daunting to think that it's hard to monetize this. I'm in a position where I can continue to do this, but I do need support. And so where I'm asking for help is to share this, to talk about it. If you liked an episode or you think I'm crazy, send a comment, send a link, follow me on social media, do it. You know, people don't really share content much anymore. Like the early days of the internet, you know, I know that it's hard for folks to share things that they don't agree with, or maybe things that they're not comfortable with. But I'll tell you right now that After Hours is the place where you can kind of watch that. People are going to come on there. They're going to want to watch themselves. They're going to want to share it. For me, it's a winning proposition, because I'm going to have folks on there. They're going to want to share, talk about themselves, and they're going to want to share it in their network. And so they're going to come back and see it. This show is a lot harder to build because it's me, it's my opinions, and there's people that don't like me for whatever reason. I find it amazing, but there are folks, limited, of course, maybe in small pockets of the world, that don't enjoy this. And so, you know, it's harder to grow. But I'll say that I every time I do this thank you tour, even as hard as it is, you know, I don't have tits. I'm not running OnlyFans, and I'm sorry if that's what you have. I'm jealous, but it's harder to do that with this mug, this face, this voice, and this topic. It's not something that people are going to be like, oh, wow, this is the fucking awesomest thing in the world. No, it's me angry, yelling, screaming, sometimes making good points, sometimes kind of sounding like an idiot, but I enjoy it. And so what I'm asking is you continue to support it. You continue to like, share, comment. One thing that's interesting about Facebook is they really like comments. So if you want to say, hey, you suck tonight, or even when, hey, your sound was shitty, even when you say the sound's shitty, wow, I got some engagement. Oh my God, I got 15 people saying you fucking had no sound. That was a real nightmare. So continue to support it. By the way, coming up this week, I've got more guests. I've got folks that you're going to be surprised gave me the thumbs up that are going to come on After Hours. It's Saturday night when I'm going to air it. I may film during the week, but I've got it booked for at least 3 months. No shit. There should be a new guest every Saturday for the next 12 weeks. So if I did nothing right now, I could have a guest for the next 12 weeks. That's awesome. That means that people believe in it. I think you're going to enjoy it. So check it out. It's called After Hours. I just started the social media. Don't have the YouTube channel up yet because they won't allow me to stream there. But it's a lot of fun. And if you're interested in kind of seeing where Nate's trying to go with his whole fucking dance, that's a little slice of seeing a little bit, maybe less anger and more interactivity with me, that I can talk to other humans, that I'm not just a robot, and that, maybe you'll find it interesting. Listen, I'm going to end. As I get warmer and warmer, my nose starts to run. And so since I'm not out, I'm not doing cocaine currently, I'm going to stop because I'm sniffling. But I want to say thank you. Make sure you check me out tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't checked out the interview with the film crew, make sure you do. They're premiering this weekend. I'll have more information on that throughout the week. I'm going to be going to the premiere. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a red carpet event. I'm hoping to bring I'm hoping to film some things there and just kind of do some interactivity with the cast as much as they'll allow me to. But make sure you check that out. It's a lot of fun. This is a local filmmaking crew that's really kind of ripping it up. They put out 2 award-winning films, and you're gonna have to check it out. It's called Cold and Transient. I'll talk more about that, but make sure you check out that interview. I want to say thanks to everybody. Jason, thank you for the topic. I don't know if I did it justice. I know you're going to come on the show eventually. Maybe we can come back and talk about this, but I want to make sure my position's clear because I know I brought this up for you. I am okay to wipe the student loan clean. I have no problem with any conditions put on that. I have no problem with us shifting priorities towards that. And I know that money has to come from somewhere. I'm also willing to pay it. I'm also willing to take a look at the tax code to make sure that people don't have to pay for secondary education at all. So that's where my position is. And even if you signed up for a bad loan, let's wipe it clean. You don't have to go up the hill both ways because I did. I'm okay. I did that. I bore the burden for you. So we're good. So that's my position on that. Make sure you tune in. There's also the podcast I'm rolling out from last week. It's coming out. Promise. It's all in audio. I'm starting the process and I'm getting weird design paralysis on the intros and the outros, but we've got it into script, which is my editor. So that means that I'm actually moving forward with it. I'm excited about it. Believe it or not, that podcast got a lot of views too. And I think it might be because I kind of jumped the shark on the hammering the local people. It was obviously a hot topic. It's a national news, but that post got a lot of that got a lot of listens too as well. Made me nervous when I saw how many people listened to that. And I know it wasn't live. So look, we're getting a lot of traction, folks, and I'm not going to continue to brag, but I'm going to continue to boast a little tiny bit that my reach is amazing and things are looking very good. And if I continue on this trajectory, there's no reason why we couldn't have 10,000 followers in a year. I know it's crazy. I know it's crazy, but that's the truth. And that's not including my personal account. I'm just telling you I'm not saying Instagram's going to have 10,000. That one's probably the hardest to grow, especially with the content I'm doing. But overall, I'm looking at our growth and I'm really excited about it. And it's all because of you. And hopefully you find it interesting. You can see I'm getting better. I'm stumbling less. I'm hopefully going to get higher quality. I also found out nobody watches this, so I'm going to make sure that my sound's always good so you can listen to it since nobody really likes to look at my mug. That's okay. I'm going to wrap. Stay tuned for this week. I got a couple good ideas for content. If you have ideas you want me to talk about, please send them my way. I'm not only going to talk about them, I'm going to give you a shout out. Like I said, I know who my fans are. I know people that listen. Just because you may not comment, just because you don't like it, doesn't mean I don't see you. I can't see you when you watch the videos, but you can get an idea for who's interacting with your content based on some of the things that happen. I appreciate it. Even if you never make a comment, you never say anything and you're watching or you're talking about it, I appreciate it. I'm humbled. As you know, I love doing this. I'm not a natural broadcaster, never went to school for any of this shit. So I'm trying to wing it, and I love it. Keep joining in, and let's see where we can go with this. I'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully you guys got sound. I tried to cast to all my Instagrams, so hopefully you got to see it. If not, check out the YouTube. We're still on TikTok. We're still trying to grow our YouTube. We're at 48 followers on YouTube. Let's see if we can get to 100 by the end of the year, folks. If we can get to 100 by the end of the year, I swear to God, I will do a dance naked. If we get to 100 followers on YouTube by the end of the year, I'll be excited. It's a rough world out there. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10:30. Thanks again for checking in. Peace.